Once again, hello folks, and my name is Olu, a Linux, especially Red Hat enthusiast. Today I want to bring to you the conclusion of the second part of the first video that I made on creating local repositories. Why do we want to create a local repository for any given network? Essentially, to help our security case. Usually when we create networks, we want to keep intrusions at bay or intrusions at a very bare minimum, if not at zero. In my first video, I talked about the local network that I had created, but I didn't really explain it in a little bit of detail, in-depth detail. So today, based on feedback that I received on my first video, I'm going to share with you a picture that describes my network. Okay, so allow me to share my screen with you, and we'll take it from there. So what you see here is the network that I created. So I have in the first video, I think I had about 4 clients, 4 nodes in my local area network. I have since expanded that to 10 total, of which 8 of them are nodes, and one is my repo server, and the other is an Ansible control node that I created. And I'll explain that a little bit more as I proceed in this video. I have 8 clients. I have 8 clients labeled clients A through H, and with IP addresses that go from 10.1.2, 10.1.1 all the way to 10.1.8 respectively. My repo server has a IP address of 10.1.1.109. I've since changed that, and my Ansible control node has an IP address of 10.1.1.9. And these are all of my local area networks. Everything you see in green here, or in the greenish color, is within my local area network. So as you can see, my repo server has access to the internet and also to my local area network. This essentially is what you called an air-gapped local area network. An air-gapped essentially means that there's no access to the internet. So those inside of the network can't access the internet, and those outside of the network on the internet cannot access the network. Okay, so next I am going to go into the detail. So if you recall, what I was trying to do was install a repo server, an HTTP protocol-based repository on my local area network so that my machines won't have a need to go outside of the network to deploy packages, download packages, or upgrade or remove packages. In my first video, I think client A, I did install the repo server on client A. So client A currently should be the only one that has access to the repo server, or maybe I had modified that a little bit. Okay, so next here, I need to share another screen with you. Okay. And this is the screen with my terminal. So this is the control node. If you guys recall, I had a control node set up. And what I'm going to do is from the control node, I am going to secure shell into my repo server. And I've done a bunch of things here just to prepare myself for this video. So let's see where we're at. Okay. So I'm going to secure shell into the repo server. Let's take a look at the history because I don't remember the IP address of the repo server. Let's grab that. Okay, this is not cooperating with me at this time. I do believe that, okay, so that's just a secure shell 192.16. Let's see something here actually. So this guy is on my local area network. So I can secure shell into my, okay, I see the problem. So this is the control node here. So from it, I will secure shell into the Ansible control node. But before that, let's take a look at all the different network nodes and make sure we have access to them. And we don't from here. And that's a good thing because this guy should not have access to my network. Okay. So now I'm going to secure shell into the Ansible control node, which is this guy. Okay. So from the Ansible control node, I should have access. If I say ping client A, actually, I've put them all in the host file. So if I say cat etc hosts, I have all of them listed there. So clients A through H, 10.1.1.1 through 10.1.1.8. Okay. So I can say secure shell into client A, for example, and I should be able to get into it. Okay. So I should also be able to ping each and every one of them, 10. Client A. Okay. And I should also be able to create ping client H. Okay. So let's see who in our network already has access to a local repository. I do believe client A should already have one. So I can run a secure shell command. I can say secure shell client A and run a command through secure shell. I would say dnf repo list all, and this will tell me the list of repositories that client A has access to. So like I thought, I have access to that one. How about client B? Client B should not. Okay, we got no repositories. So client C. Let's see something here. I think because I'm using host names, because I should have secure shell access without having to .1.2. Okay, so because I'm using host names, I need to redo. So I will not use host names just for the sake of expediency and time. So I'll use IP addresses. So what I'm going to do here is I want to deploy this repo server across clients B through H, and rather than going into each and every one of them and typing the repo file within the repo file, I will just use Ansible to deploy that across all the nodes. So I have pre-created a folder named Ansible. And within the way Ansible works is you need two files in every directory that you're running the Ansible execution environment from. One is called the inventory file. So if I list the inventory file, why don't I go in it and explain it to you guys? So you see that I have a series of IP addresses here, 10.1.1 through 8. Okay, so that's all that I need. This list contains all of the computers on my machine, on my network. But node 1 is already taken care of. So I'm just going to say 2 through 8. Okay, that's my inventory list. Okay, and then you also need a file called ansible.config CFG. Okay, and this just tells us defaults, the inventory file name and its location. Okay, so this is in our local directory. And then privilege escalation. So the Ansible sorts of use secure shell to log into machines and control them. So I have to give it some kind of privilege escalation. So become underscore user root. That's the word. I'm trying to acquire root powers by that syntax there. Method is sudo. Ask password false. Okay. So with those two files, we are ready to go. So I need to create a file called repro create a YAML file with all of the commands to control my nodes. And I pre-created some of this. So this is a YAML file. You started out with 3 dashes, and then you give the name or sort of a description of what you want to do. Okay, so I'm creating a local repository using the Apache service. Hosts all, I can give specific IP addresses here. I could say all, I could give a range of IP addresses. But ultimately, this line here causes Ansible to go inside of my inventory file to see which nodes I would like to control. Become true. Remote user Olu is the remote user, and he's going to go on those machines and acquire pseudo powers. So in order to do this, I need to go into the Ansible collections, okay, to figure out how to set up repositories. So I'll type Ansible Navigator collections, okay, and this should bring up a table that I can go into to find exactly what I would like to do. So I'm going to go to Ansible.builtin module, and if I go to the end, there's one called Yum, which is 226 Yum repository. And I'm just essentially going to go down to the examples, okay? And I'm going to find one where I could add multiple repositories using the same file. And I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to go back into VIM repo here. And I'm just going to paste this stuff down here and use what I need, okay? So how about I just edit? Rather than retyping, I'm going to edit. So I'll get rid of all these numbers here. When you work with YAML files, you have to make sure your spacing and tabs are correct, because if you don't, then Ansible indentation is very important. There's a specific format that you have to follow, and I'm going to try to do that. So Ansible calling out the module should be on par with name. So I'm going to do something here, tricks of the trade. I'm going to say set cursor column, and that gives me a line that helps me index my text. So name. So what I could do here is, if I don't remember how far in my indentation should go, I just hit the enter, and it's usually 3 in, and everyone else can be aligned. No GPG check enabled is equal to true. Okay, I think I'm going to do something here. I'm going to just delete all these guys here, because I can copy and paste the first one and just make modifications where needed. Okay, so let's modify this. I want the name of the repository to be Olu, like I previously had, and then I'm going to call this Olu base OS repo, and I'm going to call the name of the file Olu. Remember, it was olu.repo, so this is going to create a file name called olu.repo. My base URL has to be the URL to my HTTP server, right? Remember, I created that in the first video, so it's going to be HTTP, then the IP address of my repo server, 10 dot, and then local repo, then base OS. GPG check, no, enable true. And then for my next one, I'm just going to, for the app stream, I'm just going to copy all of this. Copy. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Let me go back to the collections. I think there's a little mistake. And if you go back to Ansible.builtin.226, and go to the example, Yeah. Okay. All right. So then I have to copy all of these again. Come down here to the end. Paste. And this has to be on par with this guy's. Okay. That's not what I was trying to do, but I did it. There we go. So let's call this Olu app stream. And we'll call this Olu base OS. Okay. And then we'll come here and say app stream repo. And this guy here should be app stream. GPG check, no. Enabled, true. And that's it, folks. So see how quickly, let's see if this works. This would have been a quick one. So Ansible, the command to run the Ansible script on all the nodes is Ansible-navigator. So let's, something that we can do initially just to see who's all connected, we could do Ansible-navigate, Ansible -m setup, all setup. And then I could do grep host name. Ansible all -m. Ansible all -m, maybe. There we go. So these are all the host names, all the clients on the node. So we have B, C, D through H. Okay, that's good. So now I can run Ansible -navigator run -m standard output and give it the repo name. All right, fingers crossed. It's gathering facts. So it's going to go look for each and every machine on the network. There we go. Whenever you see yellow, that means that Ansible changed something on those nodes. So now nodes B through H should have a repo server. So let's go back to the commands that we invoked earlier. Like say secure shell 10.1.1.2 DNF repo list all. Look at that. It's enabled for that guy. Let's go for 3. If you recall, previously it said no repo. Okay, good. And if we go through 7 and 8, we should have the same. Same. 7 and 8. All right. So if you recall in the previous video, I went on to the node that I installed the repo on and downloaded some packages to verify. So something I could do here to verify that the repo is working on each machine is I could do check for Redis to see. Let's install Redis. So if I do so I could do secure shell 10.1.1 RPM -QI Redis to check if that RPM package exists. It exists on that one. Remember, we did it in the first video. On 2, it should not. It's not installed. 3, it should not be installed either. Okay, good. And if we go to 7 and 8, it should not be installed either. Right. There are ways to automate all of this, every step that I'm taking through Ansible, but I just wanted to show you the steps that I'm taking, a more methodical way that you can see. So if I go back into my, let's go back into Ansible collections first to see how we install packages. And copy that, and we'll use that to install Redis. So the tool I want to use either DNF or Yum. We'll use Yum. So if I go near 226, there should be one. So it's 225. We'll go find an example. Let's find, so the first one is probably a good one. Copy. So if I go back into my repo file, we'll add these series of commands in there. I have to edit it a little bit to make it work. I don't know what this blue line here is, but we'll figure it out. And what I want to install is Redis. So change HTTPD to Redis. Okay. So essentially what this last few lines of code does is it will install the latest version of Redis. If I wanted to, I could give it a version where it says state, I could give it a version, but we're just going to do the latest. Okay. Ansible built-in.yum is the module that we're going to use. Name of the package is Redis, and the state is latest. So here we go. So since we already have, so Ansible is idempotent, which means if something has already happened, the script will not try to do it again. Okay. So the first few lines of installing the repo and stuff, that shouldn't happen again. You'll see that those lines will be green. Wherever changes are made, those lines will be yellow. Conflicting statement. Okay. I bet you there is a okay. Remember I said indentation and format is very important in Ansible. That's what happened there. There we go. We're off to the races. This should be green. Yes, we're idempotent. So the next one should all be yellow, but value of state must be stated installed latest, and that's what I thought we had. Absent, one of absent, installed latest, or present. So let's go back into our repo file. I misspelled latest. Latet is what we have here. Okay. So let's clear the screen. See that? We're yellow. We changed that one. 5 just got Redis installed. 3 and 2 got it. 6. 7. I just love Ansible automation. Seamless. Seamless. So you see everything in yellow tells us when it goes yellow like that, that means that change happened. So if I now type my previous RPM commands, so on 2, we should now have it. See that? On 3, we should have it as well. 7 and 8 should have it, and so should 8. There we go. So if I secure shell into 10.1.1.2, and I say sudo dnf install MariaDB, we're just doing it manually now just to show again. We have repo server connected to this machine. If we go into, if I actually, let me do this. Yeah, okay. ls etc yum.repo. You see that olu.repo got created? In the previous video, I did it by hand. We could have done that here to say secure shell 10.1.1.2 and then say ls etc yum.repo.d olu.repo. I could do it for 7 and 8 as well. There we go. So that's it, folks. That's all I wanted to share with us today. As you can see, when we're working with local networks, if you have a small number of nodes on your network, then you could possibly go in and manually manipulate data or manually update packages or manually do anything you would like to do. But once we start hitting numbers above 10, 20, 30, and getting close to 100, maybe 500, then automation is the way to go. So today, I hopefully have convinced you that it makes sense and it's the best thing to do to create air gapped networks when you create your local networks, and to figure out ways to keep your machines or your nodes or your clients or your users from going outside of your network. It will keep your network safe on the long run. And thank you. Have a good day.